Adair, one of my favorite humans on the planet, and now everyone in the world will know that. So if I say that to anyone else, now they won't believe me because they know it's you.
Yes, that's true.
I can't use that anymore now.
Right.
So Karen Broadwater here, Fitness Franchise Business Secrets podcast. Normally Forrest Walden is running the ship, but for some reason he let me do it. We'll see if it makes air because I think we could embarrass ourselves together.
This is true. This is very true.
The amount of coffee that we have had together and laughed and cried and made really stupid jokes is basically like the best thing ever.
It has been. This is amazing.
So Frank, you've been with Iron Tribe for 10 years plus, and before that you were in personal training.
Right.
Let's give everybody, before we get into the meat of it, because I think you are the best to have on this podcast, because we're going to talk culture, we're going to talk people, we're going to talk training, we're going to talk systems, we're going to talk about everything because you've seen everything. But first, let's talk about who you are.
Right.
So, personal training background, then into Iron Tribe. Tell us that little bit of a journey.
So dove into personal training after coming out of being an athlete.
Oh, that too.
Yeah, well, washed up football player from
come
way back
on.
when.
Be kinder to yourself. That knee will prove.
Right. Right. That's good.
That knee proves differently.
But used to be a football player and just being in good routine. Thought that fitness would pay a lot of dividends for me. I didn't have to be pulled into a gym. I love it. Just the work ethic I had in that sport specifically. Just thought that it would have a little value to kind of be a part of it to some capacity. Like, I didn't know that it would turn into like this, but I just thought maybe it'll be another avenue to move alongside, and who knows what would come from it. And so got into personal training, had no clients, was just cleaning machines, and I thought that was a little old. I was like, man, little cleaning machines. And then I found out that, with the certification, you get paid a different grade. I was like,
yeah.
So I told the manager at that time, I was like, hey, man, listen, you're going to have to get another dude to clean the machines because I'm about to be busy. Right? So I started giving away fitness routines to people that were already in there to kind of basically like sell myself in a way. And then I got busy. And so 5.5 years go by, and I was looking for my next avenue, and kind of got pursued by the formal president here, and he just kind of he stalked me out big time, right? He was pretty persistent, and so we get through that little. I told him no. Yeah, I told him no initially. I just, man, listen, dude, I got my own thing going. I don't want to damage my name.
Sure.
Because at that time, I guess I didn't know enough about functional fitness in that way, and I just thought people got hurt, and I was just like, listen, this is a little tiny little me. I need to keep all my little crumbs. And so that was just where my head was at.
Yep.
Year later.
It was a year?
Yeah, it was a year later.
I don't think I realized that.
Yeah, so it was early. It was like late 10, early 11.
I remember interviewing you, but I didn't know.
Yeah,
that was okay.
It ended up in a year because I was wanting to do my own little studio at that time.
Yep.
And then he was like, "Man, just come and have dinner with me, and we can talk through it. But you got to bring to me, where do you see yourself in 3 years?" I was like, "All right." I've never been challenged in that way to think about me in 3 years, even though I've been grinding as a personal trainer for 5.5. Right. So we had dinner, and I was like, man, well, the only way I can get on board is like, I want to like be a part of the program. So I did the beginners 101 as a client, so I can get that experience of it. And man, it was awesome. So I felt like I had the tingles of like a client or an athlete being challenged. I just hadn't had that. You know, I've only had myself to kind of motivate up until that point in this second life, young adult life, like what I'm going to do. So it
well, you're slowly about to get married.
Right, yep. So I had a lot of things going on at that point. I got engaged, and I had a lot to think about. So
and you were opening and closing a gym.
Right.
You were working a ton.
Totally. Like,
and that's
double shifting it big time.
Like, for that stage of life.
Oh, for sure. But I think it taught me a lot. But when I did transition and come on board, like committing to that, I got to see a lot. And I learned that way. I need to have my hands on it. I need to suffer a little bit. It's going to suck. I need to be corrected. Like, that's just how I digest stuff. And through that, I mean, I just kind of found like, man, this was my lane. And I could interact with more people on an hour than I was in personal training.
Yep.
So that was a perk, and which only moved into like getting more spiritual, where I can be more impactful in people's lives in that way, be an example in that way. And I get to see more people, and I get to spread his goodness by how I'm living out. So that's kind of been the journey for me.
Bigger impact.
Right. We went big
less
time.
hours, bigger impact.
Big time. Yeah, it was a tough little grind, but again, I look back sometimes and I think about it. I wouldn't change it.
Yes.
Because there was some pivotal learning points as a young man, a newer husband, a single dog owner. I had a lot of responsibilities at that time. So it was
Some
good.
people say dogs are tougher than kids.
Turbo was to some extent. He was an energy ball. He needed my attention.
He did. Yeah. Sweet Turbo. So with that, I think it's interesting because you are now still in our number one gym, which is amazing. Right. But you also mold young minds within the brand. So new coaches, you help with education, onboarding, all of that, and you really take them under your wing and you bring them in. But I think some of that is interesting because sometimes people don't come from another fitness facility, and they don't really understand that Iron Tribe is so much different than what's out there.
Right.
But you are able to kind of be like, listen, I opened and closed the gym, I did this, and not even like a bad contrast.
Right.
But you're able to take them under your wing and really share with them the opportunity that's ahead of them.
I agree with that. Like I do, like I mentioned earlier, like having that experience of the open to close perspective, right? So when I have younger coaches that might be struggling with whatever, and hey man, what does this look like as far as it, like I can literally relate. I'm not guessing of what that experience might be. Getting home late, waking up early, like I get the grind of that. And so when I speak into it, I hope that I'm coming off to where it has some meat to it, right? Where they understand and like, man, okay, this is just a season, and it could potentially turn or evolve into something else different. So that's kind of what I really enjoy when I get a chance to sit across with somebody that's new in the field. It's just that freshness, that eagerness for most that want to know what is Iron Tribe? Why are y'all different than other fitness industry, organizations, and like to what capacity, right? We're all talking about healthy people eating food and controlling those reflections in the mirror, right? But I think for someone that's coming in, if you're looking for let's just talk logistics. If you're looking for a steady check, right, some to make sure that you can pay your bills and do whatever you want to do, it provides that consistency. When I was a personal trainer, it was eat what you kill, okay? I could have 9 clients today and then one show up tomorrow and a bunch of texts saying, I'm not going to make it.
And you're back to cleaning machines.
Exactly. While we wiping down for $6. Like, that wasn't fun.
Yeah.
But that's something that was a big difference for me, knowing that, like, okay, all I got to do is like just continuously bring what I consider at that point my A game, and my salary is going to look the same, to some extent. It's like, man, that's encouraging, right?
Yeah.
So that was a big transition selling point for me, or somebody to know that, like, man, that's how they were different than the other fitness place that I was working in.
Yep.
So, just off the bat, that was a big selling point for me to want to like pursue it.
So I'm gonna ruin a little surprise.
Uh-oh.
Every quarter we announce what coach is on track to be number one for the year.
Right.
You're back on top.
Oh.
You'll find out in a couple hours. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
But I want to say that because there's something you're doing that's different. And I love to hear your analogy about dating. So if a coach is listening to this and they're growing their clients, or they want to work for Iron Tribe, or they currently even work for Iron Tribe,
right,
how is it that you get this community of people that never leave you?
So backstory to
tell the whole bit.
Right, backstory to just me, Frank, as a person. I was raised as a single mom. I have a big relationship with her. That's my girl. And I think I've always valued relationship up until my current wife. And I've only had two real girlfriends. Right? I liked being committed in a relationship, I would say. Some people say that's an issue, whatever. But that's just kind of what, that was my lane.
We'll talk to therapy about
right.
it. Yeah, that's fine.
That was just my lane. So I like to think that if I'm going to bring my A game, I expect to be met in that way. So I feel like, man, when it's talking about fitness, when I take on a new client, like, we're dating. We're confessing that we're gonna ride this thing out. We're gonna hit your goal. Okay. Yes, there are gonna be some vacations. Yes, there are gonna be some late nights, some parties, some travels, and all these things to try to derail us. But we're gonna get back on board. All right. So my commitment to them is like, man, I'm not gonna beat you down. I'm gonna hold you accountable, but I'm not gonna beat you down to where you're gonna want to, choose a different lane or beat yourself up so much to where you want to kind of like back off of like this thing that we've been working on.
Right.
So I think that really feeds into both of us meeting each other halfway with this relationship. And that's just how I deal with all of my athletes, my clients. And I mean, it means something to me, each person. And I think that they know that, when I show up, I'm where my feet are. And I mean, I just love it. There's no other way than to be present, is to really peel back layers and build relationships with our the people we're working with. Because I do see fitness, or my role in fitness, as a real vulnerable piece, right? Okay. Like you got to think about that interaction. People are sharing with you like something they probably dreamed about or struggled with as a child, right? I've never been skinny, or I've never had muscle, or I could never have done a push, or whatever it might be. But they're sharing that with you, pretty vulnerable, right? Yeah. And not that I'm going to tell them that, oh, we're going to do whatever it is, but we're going to definitely, go tooth and nail trying to get there. Yep. And I'm going to support them. And I just think that's something that I hold pretty dear, like that vulnerable part of them sharing that with me and trusting me to be able to go on this path. And I think that's what really gets me up about it. I'm competitive, and I feel like that's just that's something in our way. Yeah. And I mean that from each person. Everybody's chasing for something different, but I'm on board with it.
And they feel that for sure in your relationship.
I hope so.
I do. So, within your gym, working on attrition, culture, all that kind of stuff, I think you're like, we all would agree, you're the culture king. You teach culture to everybody. You understand the importance. One interesting conversation you and I had early on was how aware you are of adapting to each person, but that Iron Tribe has a system that teaches you everything you need to do, and then you're able to take your personality, and I mean, even you're like, if it's a lady who's a little bit older, I change my body language.
You gotta change that posture.
And some people, like if I walked in your class, I would just think, oh, Frank's a natural. But you are able to now even articulate and teach things that seem like soft skills you couldn't teach. So talk to some of those that are really important to you and why you do those.
I think so, like you just mentioned, so when you're dealing with, I mean, you don't know who's going to come in your doors, right? And I'm self-aware of knowing like what I look like, how I talk, or how I can talk. I think that's another way of like, all right, I'm invested into who's standing in front of me. So whether you just met me today, or I'm like, you're interested, looking around, or you've been there for X amount of years. I think at that point, I need to be a chameleon. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Adapt. Meet people where they are. Right? If I can sense body language just because I've seen a lot of body language. You know what I mean? So reps people. Yes. I've seen a lot of posture. And if I see someone looking a little puzzled, a little timid or whatever, then maybe I come in a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like a little softer spoken. You know what I mean? Like redirect the energy that I'm seeing at that moment. And I think that's something I do well. I do pretty good at. But you have to like be present. You have to see people. You have to listen and pay attention, I would say. Yeah. And I think that promotes growth. That allows you to be able to adapt to a lot of things around you. And if it's not something that comes natural, then I do think it's something that could be taught over time. Because now we have systems to where it's like, hey, these are triggers, right? If a person's doing this, then man, this is an option that we can attack it from this angle.
Yep.
Not saying that it's going to fix it, but at least we have options. And I think that sets us all up for success.
Yeah. So with Iron Tribes of the Success, you're in right now, currently, our number one gym in the brand. And I feel you and I have this relationship. We're actually like really good friends,
Right.
and we work together, which most people just say is not possible.
Right.
It is.
Fake news. We are
Yes,
real.
we have it. We put on our work helmets, and then we put on our friend party hats.
Right. Exactly. That's a good one. Party hats.
Oh gosh, I'm such a cheese ball. Help me. But with that said, it's one thing where you and I have a relationship, and I think it's just important, like, leader to team member, whatever. I don't necessarily see us that way, but at the same time, I come in every year and I say, Frank, do you like the bonus structure? Frank, do you like this? And I really lean into you to help me guide the company, because it's been important for me to gauge, can you grow? Can you take care of your family? Can you make money? And do you want to keep doing the job every year? So talk to me a little bit, and this isn't about like you bragging on me by any means, but at all. But I really just want to talk to you like if anybody's listening to this, with any business, that transparency,
Yes.
and like how that helps you continue. I mean, you've been here 10 years.
Yeah.
That's not just because you love your daily job.
Right.
It's got to be because there's more.
I will say, and I tell this to a lot of our newer coaches that come in and shadow me before we even take it to the next step. I'm like, I say, guys, I hate that this is about to sound so cheesy or scripted or whatever it is. I'm like, but Karen and Forrest has been the same humans to me from my interview day to today.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you said that.
Like,
Thanks.
for real.
Yeah.
Like, and again, I'm one of those people, I'm loyal to a fault. It's like, you show me consistency. You care about me, whether we're on highs, whether we're on lows.
Yep.
I do anything, you know, like, and the fact that your superiors are believing you that much and like inquire and ask you questions about like your like really mean what does growth look like for you. And I know a lot of times, and you could tell, like, I'm honest. I'm like, I'm not only speaking from Frank, I'm speaking from like other coaches that are on the floor. And if I don't see value in like what the structure looks like, I'm just like, they're probably thinking the same thing, they're just not going to say it.
Right.
And I don't think I'm saying this of like being a dagger, but I think that because y'all love me so much that I should be honest.
Yes.
And that's been a lot of what's driven my decisions to want to be around and to share the things that might be uncomfortable so that we can potentially manipulate it, if not rework, so that it works out on both ends. Yep. And I didn't have that in my previous employment to any capacity. I was just a number. I was bringing in revenue, and that's all they cared about. Yep. You know what I mean? But being a father or a husband now, it's like, man, decisions I make can affect other folks. Yep. And the fact that, you know, my leaders are like asking like my real opinion about how we're like putting things together, and people that wants to come on board and like, do you think this makes sense? I mean, it means a lot to me. I feel valued 100%. And I think that that's just a major game changer. So when I give feedback, I know that I'm speaking beyond just me. I'm thinking about the youngster that wants to kick this thing off, and I can be telling them the truth and not some fabricated whatever. What if you do this? This is like real deal. Yep. If you grind, you earn. That's what it is. Yeah. So that's a major takeaway for me. The transparency is so important.
And I value it too, just because if I know that I have that relationship with you, and if you ask me to do something and I do it, we gain trust. Right. And then, I mean, you get recruited a lot.
Yes.
But you tell me. Yeah. Who does that with it? You know, right? Yeah. I mean, so it creates this, I know Frank's not leaving. He would tell me if he is. Right. So I can just go and do my job while you're doing your job. We know we're going to come together, and now we're both, you feel heard, I feel secure. Right. And we're able just to do the thing. Right. And execute. And then we come back together the next year and talk about it and execute. Yeah.
I mean, that gel is just, it's important. I do think it needs to be on both ends, though. Right. I think that's something we've done a great job of. But again, you guys have built that trust in me to be transparent. Because I feel like if that's not established, if you feel like there's another agenda going on, and you're going to be guarded. Yes. You're going to protect stuff. You're going to be moving in the shadows, and that's just not cool.
No, it doesn't make you feel
and
good
that makes
as a
you
person.
shady.
Yeah. Yeah.
We ain't with that.
We don't do that. Yeah. That's not our thing. Okay, let's get to some practical things. So, right now you're the number one coach in the brand, which makes you the best coach on the planet, because Iron Tribe's the best. What are some practical things that you would say, if I sent somebody to you right now and said, tell me, should we hire them or not? What do you look for?
Things that really stand out for me, like day one, is, do I sense the will? Is a person upbeat? Is a person interested in other people? Because if I'm being honest, we're in the people business.
We are.
Not the fitness business.
Yes, it's
right?
so true. People don't want to hear that sometimes.
And depending on how you love on people, like, that's a game changer. If there's a real big standoffish, regardless of the environment being new for that new person, I still can tell whether or not they have an issue with engaging. Yep. I think that's, I mean, it's not a major red flag, but it's like, makes me kind of think, like, is this our guy or gal? Those are some of the biggest things that I look for, because we have to have that. You're going to have hard conversations, big follow-ups on whether people are following, systems and doing what what helps us to be successful as a gym. And if those things aren't being followed on that aspect of it, then, I mean, I just think that you could have seen it coming. Yep. Because if you got the will, we can definitely add the skill as well.
Yes, that's so true. It's so true, because if we get the right people, you're going to train them, so they're going to be fine.
I got them. Bear hug.
I love it. So speaking of that, you also train our franchise coaches as they come through.
I love it.
You did it just a couple weeks ago, really, right?
Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
What is it that, practically speaking, you pour into that and you're most proud of?
I'm really proud of that, is because I think, even though, by roles, I'm responsible for, like, giving them the history of Iron Tribe, how we do things, do's and don'ts, and all that kind of stuff. I get a lot from them as well. Like, it recharges my battery to see the eagerness of, like, man, like, they've taken the next step. They're at this point of our development where, they want to know how to be successful under our umbrella. And I take pride in, like, what I do every day. Because when I was a little boy, being a coach wasn't a thing that was glorified. Not in a fitness perspective.
No,
what do you want to be? I want to be a fireman and doctor and all these things, teacher. But
can I just speak to something real quick? It's one of my favorite things, because I think it's the most innocent, and you're so right. But you said you wanted to be a teacher because you thought teachers made the most money in the whole world because they teach everybody else how to do what they do.
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Why
don't other people think that?
Yes, that was one of my anyhow. The logic behind that is amazing. So, sorry.
Yes, that was young Frankie. He was just trying to think things out.
It's brilliant. And we don't have to get political on motivation, but the thought process is brilliant. Hey. So anyhow, yes.
But yeah, so I get so much from that interaction that weekend when we get to spend time with those new coaches, the beginning of their journey. I mean, I'm just proud to be able to help kick off their start in our brand. And for some of the people, for me to get a chance to see some of them still hanging around, 4 or 5 years into it, that's pretty cool. It's like I didn't completely destroy them on the front end.
Well,
right?
I mean, you've made a few people cry.
Yeah, feedback is tough sometimes.
I know, but you have to give it to them. It's
right. Right? I don't want them to have a blind spot.
No.
I got you.
No.
Come on. I'm your rearview mirror.
It's fine. We have tissues out there for them, whenever that happens. Favorite part about your daily job?
The process.
Oh, tell me that. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's a build-up. Again, I mentioned I was a washed-up athlete. Like, it's a process, right?
You're going to have to work on your self-talk.
I know. But the process, like, I get up, what some people call middle of the morning. I get up super early. I get to the gym a little early, spend a little time with the Lord, and I'm prepping. I'm getting ready for my folks.
Okay. So
right? I'm getting the gym ready.
Pre-game.
Oh, pre-game. We're getting ready. Okay. I'm, like, lacing up, making sure my cleats legit. Okay. Uniform clean. I got to, like, today, I got to make sure my sock game's strong. You know what I mean?
Always.
But the prep for the day, like I got an opportunity today to impact somebody. I don't know what they carrying today, but they're gonna get a smile.
Yeah.
And they're gonna get Uncle Frank.
Yep.
Big time. And I really take pride in that. Like that I've been blessed to be able to be in this, and this person believes enough in me to trust that our 45-minute interaction is going to add value to their life. So that really gets me going.
It's one thing that I think is a little bit natural for you, but is also a choice, is that consistency as a human.
Yeah.
But I hear you talk to the coaches a lot around, hey, they're not paying for your bad attitude, and they're not paying for your bad day.
Right.
So on those days you've come into work, with things not good at home or life or personal. How do you turn that off? What's your self-talk to just be present?
I mean, for me, it literally, that's what I think. I'm like, they don't pay for that. Like, Frank, the train wreck, I didn't sleep good. Like, the kiddos are acting up, whatever. That's in the office, right?
Yeah.
Like, when I step out of the office, I have people that are dependent on me. I'm a team player, right? I want to play my role in this thing, right? If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do the dirty work, then I want to be held accountable for doing the dirty work. And they don't, because I know also, like, if I bring those feelings on the floor, we've built such a relationship now that now they're investing in reverse. They're wasting that time where I want to give life to them. Now I know there's a place for them to be able to love on me in another setting. But I feel like in that moment, I shouldn't force that on them. So we suppress it. We get in there. We think about how good God is, what this opportunity is. And then that's what takes off.
Yep.
It shines way brighter than whatever my little issues are that's in the office.
Well, it might even make your issues smaller because you get out there and you get happy and grateful. And
this is true.
I'm not putting that on you, but I know you're very prayerful in class and you're there for people. And
yeah. I mean, it really does. That's kind of how I compartmentalize, Coach Frank.
Yep.
And instead of like Frank the man, like I understand what the agreement is, what they pay for, and I want to honor that, like big time. And I don't want to steal their money, their worth of experience in that 45 minutes. And that's what makes sense to me. I'm not a taker, and I'm like, I don't want to steal it from them, So we're gonna get down there, we're gonna make the most of it. If anything, I'm gonna overserve a little bit. So that's kind of my personal goal.
Maybe final question.
Uh-oh.
Unless you have anything else. Tell me about, we weren't always necessarily, and we've made a million mistakes in leadership as Iron Tribe, all the things. What we have right now is pretty good. And one thing that I think we've done really well is create a way that you can have a team dynamic and be competitive, but also everybody wins.
Right.
Tell me how that team dynamic plays out for you guys and the importance of it. If it is.
Yeah. It's not important.
But in fitness, it can often be a one-man game.
It could, yes. I think what we've created as a brand, the team aspect of like running a gym, right? There's a lot of components that go into that. Obviously, they're different coaches. They're on the floor. We have our manager, but we're still all a team. AM, PM shift. All this stuff is different. Yep. So it has to be a high communication environment, right? To make sure that we're all on one page. And I feel like if there's a breakdown in communication, pardon me for the sports analogy, is that could be the difference in winning a ball game and not, right? Yep. If you're out of position, somebody else takes advantage, other team wins. Yep. I want to make sure, or we want to make sure that everybody's bases are covered. We know where we're supposed to be. We know how we're going to attack the week. We have a team meeting on Mondays. So we know what the week's mapped out to be. So appropriately, we all know what the game plan is, right? So high communication has been a big key to our success. Jen is a beast. She's a machine. Love that girl. Like, she keeps us on top of it, which only triggers more competitiveness because we know if she's up there being like as big of a part of the team in the office when following up with people and handling what she handles as us on the floor, like, I mean, that's a strong partnership.
You don't want to let her down.
I don't want to let her down.
She don't want to let you down.
Exactly. And we share that. So it's still a way to be competitive in that, right? It's like, man, if she gets, these two people signed up, Frank has relationship problems. Hey, you ain't gonna break up with me because you're gonna be here for a long time. Hey, you might as well not mess around with no 3 months. You're gonna do a year now. Don't be messing around.
Yep. And she has that confidence.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just think that's allowed us to like take ownership in the process of it being good teammates, communicating as like what people might be, issues and limitations they might have, and that kind of thing, what their situation is, and knowing that out front, I know how to handle those people, right? I just think it sets us up for, put us in a strong position to be able to serve better, like every day. So that team dynamic is so important. And if you're a lone ranger and you're open to want to be a better teammate, I think that'll set you up for success, definitely in our environment for sure.
If you have anything else to say, we can talk about it. But final thing, for real, I said it last time.
Right.
In any business that is a service business, so it's about the people.
Right.
What is the main thing you think is most important
in the service business? I don't know, it's a complex answer.
I mean, just the mindset of the hostess at a restaurant, you the coach,
I just think
waiter.
I just think it's the power. Honestly, I think it's the power of a smile and positive like energy. I think that sets the tone for the next step. Like, how do we get past me smiling at you and it not something positive follow that?
Yeah.
It's simple, but that's what my little brain thinks of.
No, I think
like, so I feel like you meet in service, you meet and greet with a smile, and then the other things follow, right?
I think that's brilliant.
So I just think that's a great intro to whatever's to come, and it's powerful to me.
Yeah.
And I just think that you can build, you can just go a lot. The sky's the limit if that's how we lead off.
I was even watching a YouTube video or something the other day, and it was saying, even if you're getting on a Zoom call, you should be smiling before everyone else gets on.
Oh, right.
Just because if you get on and you have this space, do they think, how's this going to go?
Right.
So even starting that is interesting you said that, because I was like, how could that go?
Right.
But you don't know what the other person's receiving.
This is true.
So just be smiling all the time.
All the time. Yes. Face might lock up. It's okay.
It's okay. Work those muscles.
Yes. Relax them sometimes, but get back to smiling.
Yep. Anything else, Frank? We'll have you back on for other stuff, but I just want a foundation for everybody to be like, this is Uncle Frank.
Right. I don't think so. I think we do have some, other stories later.
But we just needed to have we need to record our coffee conversations. It has nothing to do with anything we just talked about.
This is true.
I think it's fascinating.
I think it is too. I mean, I think we almost fixed the world twice.
We talk about everything they say don't talk about. Race, politics, money.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good.
But it's delivered so great. I mean...
I'm like, Frank, I may be ignorant, but I'm going to just say it.
It's so funny. That's her lead off most of it.
Every time. But you receive it.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Okay. Well, if you were to say, not to get you emotional, 10 years from now, you're looking at Gia and Dallas, and you're just giving them the best piece of advice as they're teenagers, what are you going to tell them?
I'm going to tell them to, no matter what they choose to do, we're going to show up. We're going to care about what we're doing, because that goes a long ways. And glorify God in it.
I love it.
Those would be my strongest words to them that I would hope that they would sink their teeth in.
I just ask because I freaking love your kids.
Yeah.
And Gio will be 17 then.
I can't think about that. That's a lot.
Oh, my little girl.
That's too much.
Little baby girl.
That's too much to think about. Gigi being 17.
Well, you're raising great kids and you're amazing.
Appreciate that.
That's it. It's a wrap.
It's awesome.
Thanks for joining.
Yes.
We'll have you
pleasure.
back on. Bring your dad jokes next time.
Got that.
You got one?
Well, no, not one.
Oh.
I need to prep.
Oh, okay. We'll wait.
Because I saw you about to lean in.
We got to stretch for that.
Yeah,
I mean, listen.
No.
Just didn't know if you had one on deck.
No, I didn't.
Next time.
Got to be prepared.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah.
You're the
Thanks for
best.
having me.
Yeah.